Hey guys, welcome to another side note here. This side note is just digging a little deeper into Hebrew poetry. If you didn't watch the main episode yet, the idea with Hebrew poetry is it rhymes almost on the idea of a concept rather than a word. So in English, when you have a rhyme, it's going to end with the same sound or something like that. You got free verse poetry, I know all that stuff, but whatever. But with typical American and English poetry, you've got this concept of where the end line of each word of each line is going to have some sort of rhyme scheme. That's what we're known for. There's a rhythm to it and all that. It's just the way we do it. In Hebrew poetry, and specifically as you get into Hebrew wisdom literature, that's where this comes into play with Ecclesiastes, you don't necessarily have a rhyme scheme in that way. What happens is you're going to have a repetition of a concept. And so as you guys deal with, for instance, Psalm 24 right here, about the first 6 verses are really going to bear this out. 7 through 10 basically take 7 and 8, 9, 10. Like they repeat themselves. But if you look, again, Psalm 24 says, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Okay, and so that's your first chunk of text. The earth is the Lord. I want you guys to think about that as a letter A, and then the fullness thereof as a letter B. And what's going to come up next is going to repeat what A had to say, and then what's going to come after that is going to repeat what B had to say. So if you can think about it like this, here's the earth is the Lord. So that's A. And then you're going to see this phrase here, the world, and that's going to repeat what that had to say. And so these two concepts, of course I've got to log in if it's going to save it because I want to save it. It's just fun how this stuff works. And I don't want to sync my notes. And so I want you guys to see, like, earth is the Lord's, the world. These two concepts are the same, and there you go. You also have the fullness thereof, and so the fullness thereof is the second part right here, and so we'll highlight that blue, ignore the login, and then they that dwell therein is the accentuation or the repeat of that phrase. It's going to make me log in just so I can do this without having to see that pop-up screen come every time. And so you can see here, it is a repetition on a theme. You've got the earth and the world, the fullness, they that dwell therein. And so it's taking those 2 points and it's just building and building. We're not going to highlight with the highlighter tool because, yeah, I'm just not going to deal with that every time. But he has founded it upon the seas. So you've got that right here. He has established it on the floods. And so that's, again, a repeat of what he's trying to say there. Who shall ascend into the hill of the Lord? Who shall stand in his holy place? Okay, so it's taking the concept of who is going to be in God's presence. And so if you're going to be in God's presence, there's a few ways we can express this. Verse 3 expresses it 2 different ways. One is you're going to ascend up to his hill, which is, again, just shorthand for the presence of God and being in his kingdom. And then the idea of who shall stand in a holy place. So, again, boom, boom. You then get into verse 4, and it just beat. It says, he that hath clean hands, it's going to accentuate clean hands by saying pure heart, accentuate that he has not lifted up his soul unto vanity, and he has not sworn deceitfully. And so this one has 2 sets again. You've got clean hands, pure heart. Those 2 are together, and then lifted up his soul to vanity, sworn deceitfully. And so those 2 are tied together, kind of expounding on the theme. And so again, if you watch the main series video, you're going to see some of this explained in more detail, how this all plays out. But I wanted you to see it in practice. It says, he shall receive a blessing from the Lord. Okay, well, what's that blessing look like? Well, it is a blessing, and it is righteousness. Okay, so probably implying some sort of justification or something here. And then you've got the next thing, which is the Lord, and then the God. All right, and so again, it's stressing just little bits here. And then it says this is the generation of them that seek him, and then it repeats that seek thy face. Okay, and this one actually does a neat little reversal because it says the generation, and then the generation of who? Well, the descendants of Jacob. And so you've got they seek him, they seek thy face. So these two, you almost have, I'll do it. I'll do this. So you've got green tied in here, and then you've got, O Jacob, more or less to explain what generation that is. And then these 2 sections right here in the middle, we'll highlight in red, and seek thy face. And so that's that's kind of how you see some of the poetry playing out here. The generation and Jacob are connected. The seek him and seek thy face are connected. And so you see all sorts of various aspects of Hebrew poetry played out here. And then you get it right here in 7, 8, 9, 10, where it's almost that call and repeat, where it's a chorus. I mean, if you're into praise and worship type stuff, it's that idea of like, I'm going to keep repeating this until you understand it. Again, that's part of the repetition. That's why these were sung. That's why this was focused on. Because again, it's trying to get you to understand this is an important topic. This is something that you need to remember. This is something you need to walk through your life singing. And so it's written in such a way to kind of draw attention and help clarify things as you go. So that's Psalm 24. And that's just a quick little explanation here of how you see some Hebrew poetry built into that.